They called it an upgrade. It was a nicer word than mutilation. Not as accurate, though. The bionics were superior to biostandard limbs in raw strength, but inferior in almost every other way, from dexterity to sensory feedback. The syndicate didn't care, though. As long as you could hold a weapon, they didn't care if you lost a bit of feeling, or all of it for that matter. You didn't refuse the syndicate, though, even when they wanted to cut off your arms. The worst part was, once they'd upgraded her, they expected her to pay them back, and that meant more than just passing messages and running errands, the entry-level stuff. She'd been perfectly happy with the entry-level stuff. She'd only got involved with the syndicate because it was that or go hungry. She didn't want to get in any deeper than she already was. You didn't refuse the syndicate, though, even when they ordered you to kill someone. The first one had been easy enough, in more ways than one. A low-level enforcer had taken a little too much for himself, handed out a few too many beatings. Not someone worth any pity, a parasite who kept going further than he needed to. The syndicate did not like excess. The syndicate liked efficiency. And eager or not, she was very efficient. That was what had brought her to the partner's attention in the first place. The bottom feeder had his apartment fully tricked out with the best security he could afford. Armoured door, security cams, etc. Not top-of-the-line stuff, because he was a bottom-of-the-line kind of guy, but still, it had slowed her down enough for him to go for a weapon, or the exit, whatever other surprise he had waiting. One way or another, though, it was the end of the line for him. His apartment might have security, but the apartment directly above his wasn't protected by anything more than a deadbolt. She barely needed the extra strength from the bionics to force open the door. All the apartments had the same layout. She'd known exactly where everything was, including his bed. She could have brought a machine gun, hosed down the floor, but relying on the statistical probability that that would kill him was more of a chance than she'd felt like taking. Instead, she brought a grenade. She pulled the pin at the same moment she brought her fist down into the floor. The cheap building materials gave way easily enough under her enhanced strength. She'd just caught a glimpse of him in bed, too wasted to be woken even by a ceiling falling through, before she dropped the explosive through the neatly grenade-sized hole. She rolled away, and there was a bang. Not as loud as she'd been expecting, muffled by the floor. She'd rolled back and taken another peek through the hole. Job done, although the apartment's next owner would have to redecorate. Then she left quickly down the fire escape. They hadn't all been that easy, in more ways than one. The syndicate didn't limit themselves to killing scumbags. Anyone who got in their way or wouldn't play the game got removed. One way or another, nobody refused the syndicate. Her latest was a politician, one of the few remaining politicians that weren't either taking money from the syndicate or being blackmailed by them, or already partners themselves. This politician had the talent to go far and the bravery to be a threat to the syndicate. Needless to say, he wouldn't be allowed to get that far. It would be difficult and dangerous. Police corruption didn't extend as far as allowing the murder of government officials. There would be an awful lot of weaponry around her target this time. A partner had given her the order personally, though. The partners were the syndicate, and nobody refused the syndicate. As she stood there in the partner's office, though, having just been given the order to end the life of one of the last few remaining hopes there were for a brighter future, she made a decision. You didn't refuse the syndicate, not if you valued your life. The thing was, though, thanks to them, she didn't. You couldn't get a gun into a partner's office, of course. There were scanners to detect that. But when half her body was already metal, the scanners weren't going to notice another half a foot of sharpened steel. It was surprisingly simple. The two guards in the room weren't expecting anything. With her enhanced strength, she was able to throw them against the wall before they realised she was moving. The partner had scarcely reacted when she'd driven the knife into his chest, but then it hardly had time. In fact, it was easy. In more ways than one. This partner alone had handed her 24 termination orders. Death would considerably improve him, in her opinion. Then the guards stationed outside the room had burst in, and trained their weapons on her. The knife slipped from her unfeeling fingers. Holy shit, she killed him. Call it an upgrade.